We have a Muslim population in Britain growing by about 75% every 10 years, right? That's just where we are.
Hmm.
If we politically alienate the whole of Islam, we will lose. We'll lose.
So how does one include
We
them?
will lose by 2050. Goodness knows what kind of a terrible state we're going to be in.
A lot of people feel that this is Nigel sort of giving up and accepting that we're not going to be a Christian country. Winston Marshall, it is a big week in British politics. Local elections, people are talking about a reform quake. However, there are some genuine concerns about the fact that Nigel Farage is seeming to tack to the centre on a whole load of key issues. And indeed, earlier in my digest, I actually played him on the BBC, on the British Bashing Corporation this morning. He's not too into the independent media at the moment. He's going back to the MSM. He was actually saying that he doesn't even view Reform UK as a right-wing or a left-wing party. I'm going to play a little bit of your interview in just one moment, because this is where some of those concerns, I guess, started to spread, that there was some type of move away from a Trump MAGA-style policy approach. But I'm interested to know whether you have sensed a change in Nigel Farage. Is he trying to tack to the centre, and do you think that is a wise electoral strategy?
I'm not sure I would say he was trying to tack to the centre. Let me just give you some details that help my thinking to why he might say he's not a right-wing party. So the obvious example is he said that he would like to nationalise British steel. Now, this is completely crazy sentence if you believe he's a Thatcherite, which is what I thought he was a Thatcherite economically. This is the opposite of Thatcherism. Now, I think there's an argument to be had for nationalizing British steel, even though I'm extremely against socialism. And the only argument I've got is that at the moment it's owned by the Chinese. So it's not just owned by the state, it's owned by a foreign state, and it's owned by an adversarial foreign state and an adversarial communist foreign state. So I think it would be preferable that it's owned by the British state than them. But as to whether he's right or left, no, I think that he is populist, and we are in the new populist age, and it isn't really a right-left thing. In fact, if you're making the reference to Trump and MAGA, yes, on the one hand, Trump is very deregulation, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has made it clear that deregulation is a big part of his project. But it's also the case that tariffs, since Bretton Woods, since Bretton Woods, have been a left-wing cause. It was in America, Bernie Sanders and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi who have been arguing for tariffs to protect the workers. So the old paradigm of right-left, it doesn't help to understand what Farage and Reform are. And Lee Anderson, lest we forget, was MP for Labour.
Yes, he was.
I not only that, they've been appealing to the Red Wall, and I think the appeal for the Red Wall to vote for Boris was not because Boris was economically right wing. On the contrary, he was probably culturally on the right, but economically appealed to them through levelling up and funding the NHS, i.e., things that you might say are left wing economically. So I don't think it's unfair for Farage to say he's not a right-wing party. I
guess you can certainly take that approach, for example, when it comes to industrialization, when it comes to the unions, which he's trying to reach out to. I guess, Winston, where I have concerns and where I know a lot of my audience have concerns is on the issue of Islam in particular. And this was really one of the most seminal interviews with Nigel Farage in recent months on the brilliant Winston Marshall show, where he said this. So let's just watch it, Winston, again. Played it a lot on my show, but then I'll get your reaction off the back.
But the nub of it is, we have a Muslim population in Britain growing by about 75% every 10 years. Right? That's just where we are.
Mm-hmm.
if we politically alienate the whole of Islam, we will lose. We'll lose.
So how does one include
We
them?
will lose. By 2050, goodness knows what kind of a terrible state we're going to be in.
I mean, fascinating. You could argue realpolitik in action, but a lot of people feel that this is Nigel sort of giving up and accepting that we're not going to be a Christian country.
I'm not sure. We might find disagreement here, Dan, which would be healthy.
Yes.
But
Always.
you know, I see in Britain is Islamism, and there are obviously also problems about mass migration, and there's been a lot of negative consequences about mass migration, and they have come predominantly from specific. Those negatives have been coming from specific communities. And I think it's important we have those conversations. But I do also think that there are good, hardworking British Muslims, and they are patriotic. I've had some of them speak on my show. I think of Ed Hussein, for example, who is, I think, been very impressive in the things he's saying, and very brave, standing up to the Islamists who within the British Muslim community. And now, I'm not trying to underplay the issue of Islamism in Britain.
It's interesting because, of course, there's Zia Yusuf as a Muslim chairman. He's obviously a mainstream guy, although a lot of people have concerns. I guess this is where you get into the whole Gad-Sad argument. You know, he would say, Winston, well, there's no difference. There is no difference. There's no such thing as extreme Islam, or no difference between Islamism and Islam. It's all the same thing. But you disagree.
I think that here's my white pill, right? So if you look at Muslim majority countries, specifically the Emiratis right now, I think that they are the shining example. Not only do the Emiratis want peace and trade with the West and Israel, they have been better on the issue of Islamism than the British themselves. Only a couple of months ago, the Emiratis wrote up a list of 10 Muslim Brotherhood affiliated organizations in Britain with absolutely absurd. I have to dig up the list, but the names are like Wembley Car Wash, or it's kind of all these different things that they've highlighted. No, these are Islamist groups. Now, I would probably say it's probably true that Islamism will always be an issue as long as Islam is about. It's hard to argue that. If you read the Quran, if you take the Quran literally, it's a pretty short road to Islamism. However, I don't think that is all Muslims, and I think that, for example, here in America, where I am, the majority of American Muslims voted for Trump, and they are conservative by the majority of them are socially conservative, and actually probably here in America they are also economically conservative by comparison to
and I mean that's what Farage is banking on. That is what he is saying to you, really, in that interview. We need these guys. I just personally believe it's delusional. It's not going to happen. I mean, you've seen the direction of politics in this country, Winston, which is that actually the biggest threat to a whole load of Labour MPs at the next election is not going to come from the right. It's going to come from the sectarian MPs. I think a lot of them are extremists. They're the types of people that believe that first cousin marriage should be legalized. But it is interesting, and this is going to be a very, very real debate over the next few years. But first, you know how often I talk about the need for free speech to be protected. And I've been increasingly thinking of the need for personal protection from snoopers, bad actors, and hackers online. I'm delighted to tell you I have now found the fail-safe solution. But what's more, this VPN, virtual private network, to use the full official term, is also a life changer when it comes to providing you entertainment and information from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. So I want to introduce you to Surfshark, an incredible and easy to use service that encrypts all your internet traffic, meaning your online activities stays safe so you can shop, stream, browse, and conduct your banking online in complete privacy. But what I love is that the benefits of Surfshark actually go way beyond keeping you safe online. It also allows you to access your favorite entertainment, news shows, news channels, and international streaming services like Hulu, iPlayer, HBO Max, Peacock, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, the full works within seconds, as if you were watching from another country, which can be really handy if particular shows are geo-blocked. If you're traveling for work or on holiday, you can also get all your favorite content from home, including sports. Plus, it's an insurance policy against creeping censorship in so many countries like France, which still, to this day, is blocking Rumble. How insane is that? You can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. True freedom, which I'm all about. A VPN can also save you money in these very tight times because you can get the best deals from websites that change their prices depending on where you're buying from. There are other benefits too. You can use Surfshark on unlimited devices, meaning your entire household can stay safe with just one subscription. And with over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, there is a world of choice at your fingertips with 24/7 customer service if this is your first time using a VPN. So go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. What's more, there's no risk here because Surfshark is so confident, and I use it every day, so I agree that it's the best VPN in the world, that you can give it a try for a full 30 days. If you're not entirely satisfied, you will get your money back. So go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. But now, back to the show.
I don't want to, for a second, give the impression that I'm underplaying the horrors of Islamism and what it's done to our country. And not least, it's revolting to hear people arguing for cousin marriage in government. It's just a shame on the Palace of Westminster. But one thing that the British have not tried is actual law and order with this stuff. If we actually punish the perpetrators of the rape gangs, if we actually deport all of the illegal immigrants here, if we actually take our laws seriously across the board, no matter who it is, and if we take ourselves seriously, if the British start taking themselves seriously, I believe that that would mean that those trying to undermine us, those against who we are, will actually respect us and stop misbehaving. Now, it might be the case that that doesn't work, but we haven't even tried that.
No,
so let's try that first.
We haven't. I mean, look, it is a very good point. Of course, we've got to try. I mean, I just think about the interview I did with this incredible guy. I'd actually love to hear. I think he'd be a great guest for the Winston Marshall show. Suhail Ahmed, who is the former Islamist wannabe terrorist who intended to blow up Canary Wharf in London and de-radicalized, and turns out he's gay, right? So for him, that was his journey out. But if he had been straight, there probably wouldn't have been a journey out. And what was so disturbing to me, speaking to him, Winston, is that he is British born. And what is being taught at the mosques is literally that me, as a gay man, I should be thrown off the roof of a skyscraper. I mean, you're right, we haven't tried to tackle it, but obviously how? That is the big question. But look, I just, before you go, Winston, want to ask you, because of course we've had this discussion on our former GB News show before, but interesting time in the music industry, the entertainment industry. You found global fame as one of the members of Mumford and Sons. Have you noticed a change since the election of Trump? Because it feels like there is some sense that maybe that uber wokeness, I'm thinking Disney's Snow White being a commercial disaster. Are there some signs of hope that maybe the entertainment industry is waking up?
Well, if you're referring to the market, the people who are consuming it, yeah, they've woken up. But the industry themselves, you ask at Snow White and Hollywood, and I haven't got an insight necessarily into Hollywood, although Snow White would have been a bitter blow, and the numbers they got from that, it was disastrous, if I've got that correctly. I've just been following the story of Kneecap, who are an Irish band, and they make sort of rap. I'm not sure if they're Irish or Northern Irish.
Revolting.
But
aren't they revolting?
They have been caught on camera saying "Up Hamas, up Hezbollah, kill a Tory," and worming themselves out with some sort of measly apology. But their ideology is very much in keeping with a lot of what we've seen in Ireland, and a lot of the abhorrent responses to October 7th. And they seem to have been growing massively in popularity, despite these heinous opinions of theirs. So I'm not sure. It's quite hard to tell. And I also have a bias in that in the work I do now, I have a lot of people reaching out to me and saying they totally agree, and prominent people and within the arts. So I've got a skewed view. I can't tell whether things are changing, or whether the information is leading me to think things are changing.
Well, indeed, because when you see this at Coachella, and that was during Kneecap's set, you sort of think maybe not. And as you say, they have literally called for the death of Conservative MPs, and you've got David Amess's daughter, the wonderful Katie Amess, coming out and saying, hang on a moment. And then, Winston, Mumford & Sons are actually back, which a lot of people didn't expect. They have released new music. Now, this is the first album without you. It's not the same for me, Winston. There's a whole load of us. We're like Mumford & Son refuseniks now. But has that been weird for you to see your former band release new music for the first time without you as part of it?
I wish them all the best, and as I've said, I think on your shows before, and I hope that they are happy and fulfilled in the work that they're doing. And I have
it's not as good though, is it? The music isn't as good without you.
I've been thoroughly enjoying my work. It's great to be out here in Washington, D.C. I actually played a show in North Carolina 2 weeks ago with Oliver Anthony, who you might remember for a couple of years ago. He had this viral song, Richmond.
Oh,
North,
I love him. I love him.
He's a great lad.
So, you were on stage with him, were you?
I played for a whole set with him, actually. He invited me. I thought he might be playing one or two songs, and he's like, no, you're playing the whole set. And this is the first time I'd played banjo live on stage in over 5 years. I had done a solo tour, just playing songs I'd written around the States, and I'd put out singles and stuff, but in the meantime. But this is the first time playing banjo, and it was completely invigorating and liberating and just wonderful.
Are you considering recording with him, or was it just a live
I definitely hope to do more with him. He's going to be coming to Britain for a tour later in the year, and I'm going to try and catch more stuff.
I genuinely, I love this guy. I love his music. He obviously had the big viral hit, didn't he, which went to #1, but he's such a talent.
Exactly.
But of course,
I saw him. Sorry.
No, you go, Winston.
I saw him play at the Shepherd's Bush Empire at the end of last year, and it was such a bizarre experience. It's one thing to experience it in America, but in London, where it was basically a room full of brogans. And by brogan, what I mean is bros who listen to the Joe Rogan Experience, all wearing plaid and trucker hats. And between every single song, they were chanting, Joe Biden's a pedo.
Were you like, these are my people? These are my people.
Yeah, I couldn't quite believe it. But this guy's incredible. He's trying to go around all of the Live Nation, Ticketmaster, big corporates. I mean, we keep hearing that musicians are supposed to be raging against the machine. All of these musicians are raging for the machine. Yeah. But Oliver Anthony is actually going up against the corporates. He's actually going up against big business. He's actually going up against the monopolies. This is a man after my own heart. He is the change he wants to see in the world. He's going direct to the people, and it's just a phenomenal. And I also literally believe he's the greatest songwriter working in America today.
He is such a talent. Okay, I'm definitely going to get tickets to his show. Winston, so brilliant to have you for the first time on Outspoken, and of course, I am a subscriber both on Substack and YouTube, but I highly recommend the Winston Marshall show. I mean, you went totally viral around the world for this, didn't you? It's quite a title.
Exposed herself. Yeah, that's not the video you might think it is. It's YouTube, not you porn, I might add.
But it's really, really worth watching for all of your interviews. And congratulations on your question at the White House yesterday, because it's got the world talking, got people waking up to what's going on here in the United Kingdom. And my God, we need that, Winston Marshall. So brilliant to see you.
Dan, congratulations on all your much-deserved success. It's great to see you going from strength to strength to strength.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.